I'm just practicing now a second live stream. I'm not sure how well this will go, but I'm just practicing. So, this is for the Tao Te Ching reading group that I created and have been enjoying sharing and reading other people's non-Taoist experiences with just the reading of the Tao Te Ching text itself. Various translations into English. My translation, the one that I've preferred, I've got like most of the ones that are published in English via PDFs all over the internet. So this one I bought, and it's by Salala Towler, Practicing the Tao Te Ching. Has each of the verses or chapters or steps, however you want to call them, he uses the word steps in here, is accompanied by commentary and exercise that is like anywhere from like meditation to physical exercise to life practice, attitude adjustment, changes, and practice. So practicing the Tao Te Ching, and it's also interesting because it's a paraphrase. It's not exactly a direct translation from the Chinese original text. In some cases, it sort of is. In other cases, he took his years of practice and teaching of Taoism himself as a teacher to distill the gist of it into like a paraphrase. So it's available on Amazon. And now I'm going to try reading this a little bit, starting with the first one and going through as many as it makes sense or feels comfortable to try to read in a single setting, maybe 5 or maybe 10. I've done all 81 in a single sitting. It took me just over an hour, so I don't think I'll sit here for an hour, but let's do this. So I'm using this nice visualizer that I built as well. I built this with my own system and my own photographs. All these photographs that you see are ones that I've made myself. So there is no copyright or anything on these. Plus the visualizer is kind of fun. So step 1. Tao that can be spoken is not the true and eternal Tao. Names that can be named are not the true and eternal names. Non-being is the origin of heaven and earth. Being is the mother of the 10,000 beings. Therefore, in the realm of non-being, one can see the mysterious source of all things. In the realm of being, one can see the manifestations of Tao. These two have the same origin, but are called by different names. They are both mysterious and profound. Mystery within mystery, the gateway to all marvelous wonders. Step 2. Under heaven, everyone knows that the existence of beauty depends upon the existence of ugliness. Everyone knows that the capacity for kindness depends on the existence of the unkind. Existence and nothingness are mutually born. Difficult and easy complete each other. Long and short shape each other. Tall and short rest upon each other. Sound and silence harmonize each other. Before and after follow one another. Because of this, the sage dwells in the world of non-action, Wu Wei, and practices teaching without speaking. The 10,000 beings rise and fall, and she makes no claim on them. She creates, but does not possess them. She works, but does not take credit for it. Because she does not take credit for her accomplishments, they will last forever. Three, not praising the talented prevents jealousy. Not storing up riches prevents stealing. By not displaying valuable things, people's hearts are not troubled. This is why sages empty their heart minds and fill their bellies, Dan Tian. They weaken their ambitions and strengthen their bodies. They are free of knowledge and desires. By practicing not doing Wu Wei, they live in peace and inner harmony. I'm going to take a break just for a split second, for a moment, describe because of the sage dwelling in world of non-action from step 2, introduces the term Wu Wei. And so Mr. Towler, he describes Wu Wei as a simple not overworking. It's not non-action as in sitting on your hands doing nothing, but it's basically living with the flow of everything around you and not overstretching and not slacking. It's just very calm, managed, simple, yeah. Now in step 3, it says by practicing not doing, which is uses the same Wu Wei character. They live in peace and inner harmony. Step 4. Tao is an empty vessel. It is used but never exhausted. It is the fathomless source of the 10,000 beings. It blunts the sharp and untangles the knots. It softens the glare and unties with the dust of the world. Oh, that's unties. I have a moment of dyslexia once in a while. I will read this again. It's not very good for a reader to have dyslexia. I don't have it diagnosed, but it unites, unties. It softens the glare and unites with the dust of the world. It is tranquil and serene, and endures forever. I do not know from where it comes, yet it is the ancestor of us all. Step 5. Heaven and earth are not benevolent. They treat all beings as straw dogs. The sage is not benevolent. He treats all other beings as straw dogs. The space between heaven and earth is like a bellows. It is empty, yet never exhausted, always in motion, yet always producing more. Fewer words are better than many. It is best to abide in our true nature. Six. This is a short one. The valley spirit does not die. It is called the primal mother. The doorway of the primal mother is called the root of heaven and earth. The valley spirit seems to endure without end. Draw upon it, It will never be exhausted. 7. Heaven is eternal. Earth is eternal. The reason they are eternal is because they do not live for themselves. This is why they are eternal. The sage places himself to the rear, yet always ends up at the front. He is not concerned with his own safety, yet he always remains safe. Is it not because he is selfless that he is able to realize his true self? 8. The highest sage is like water. Water benefits the 10,000 beings, yet contends with no one. It flows in places that people reject. In this way, it is close to Tao. In her dwelling, the sage values the earth. In her spirit, she values the qualities of a deep pool. In her dealings with others, she values human kindness and benevolence. In her speech, she values truthfulness. In leading others, she values fairness and peace. In serving others, she values effectiveness. In her actions, she values proper timing. Because she does not go against nature, she is free from blame. Step 9. Overfilling a vessel is not as good as stopping before it is filled. Oversharpen a blade and it will lose its edge. Pile up gold and jade, and it will be impossible to guard it. In going after rank and titles, in an arrogant and haughty way, you will bring about your own downfall. Withdraw when the work is done. This is the way of Tao. 10. Can you hold the body, Po, and spirit, Hun, as one? Can you avoid their separation, concentrating your chi and becoming pliant? Can you become like a newborn baby, clearing your mind and contemplating the profound? Can you remain unflawed? In the opening and closing of the inner gates, can you take the role of the feminine, primal yin? Being open to and understanding all things, can you practice Wu Wei? Can you grow the fruit without taking possession of it? Can you do the work without taking credit? Can you lead without dominating? This is called profound virtue, Te. So that's the end of the 10th chapter or verse of the Tao Te Ching. A lot of different interesting points made in here. Profound virtue, Te. Feminine, the feminine, which is primal yin, of the yin and yang, which the spirit is Hun, body is Po. Non-action is Wu Wei. Just can you grow the fruit without taking possession of it? Much of these verses have to do with just being able to produce without able to produce more than one consumes. Profound virtue. Lead without dominating. This is the thing. So many of these verses also deal with being strong and yet not overpowering? Can you lead? Can you do the work? Can you grow the fruit? Being open to and understanding all things, can you practice Wu Wei, non-action? Clearing your mind and contemplating the profound, can you remain unflawed? Well, that would be interesting to do a study in the original text of what the symbol for unflawed there means. Can you become like a newborn baby? Can you avoid the separation of body and spirit? Concentrating your chi and becoming pliant. Overfilling a vessel is not as good as stopping it before it's... I'm going back to chapter 9. Piling up jade, and it will be unable to guard against its theft. That is similar to verse 2. No, verse 3. By not displaying valuable things, people's hearts are not troubled. Not storing up riches prevents stealing. One thing with reading the Tao Te Ching completely in a single sitting is that it's a very, like the reading the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament. There's a strange sense of there's a strange spirit that one can tap into in the aggregate of all of the words and all of the symbols and all of the meaning in a single flow, like taking a long bath or jumping in a lake and swimming for a long time, as opposed to just quickly jumping in and doing a couple laps and feeling the workout. Like just feeling the flow for a long time. I love the symbolism and the literal reflection on water in so many of the verses of Tao Te Ching. Overflowing a vessel is not as good as stopping before it is filled. Well, that's a not overdoing it. Over sharpening a blade and it will lose its edge. Pile up gold and jade and it will be impossible to guard against it. In going after rank and titles in an arrogant and haughty way, you will bring about your own downfall. Withdraw when the work is done. This is the way of Tao. So don't overdo it. One would have to plan in advance and know what the goal is before setting about to do the work in order to know what the goal is. Filling a vessel. Piling up, well, acquiring some gold and jade, but not piling it up. The highest sage is like water. Now I'm going back to 8 here. The highest sage is like water. It benefits the 10,000 beings, yet contends with no one. I was thinking about water recently. Well, I think about water every day, regularly. But water is the flowing. So much of the human body is made up of water. And blood itself is a flow of fluid through in the cardiovascular system. And here it says it flows in places that people reject. Well, yes, that's literal and figurative. In this way, it is close to Tao. It just flows. She values in her dwelling, the sage values the earth. In her spirit, she values the qualities of a deep pool. The deep pool is restful, peaceful, fills all little nooks and crannies, and is calm. That's my own thoughts. In her speech, she values truthfulness. Now here we are. I'm going to cross-reference step 8 to step 10. Can you grow the fruit in 10? Can you do the work? Can you lead without dominating? All in step 10. In step 8, in leading, in serving, in her actions, in her speech. Speech values truthfulness. Leading values fairness and peace. Can you lead without dominating? 8. In serving others, she values effectiveness. In her actions, she values proper timing. So now this is interesting. The value of Wu Wei is non-action and not overdoing things, but the context or the sense of actually doing work, she values proper timing. So proper timing is, everybody should know, but there's within the moment, within the grand moment time to do something, there's probably better and worse, or more opportune and less opportune moments, and those are when it's more practical. I mean, you would not mow your lawn in the rain or when it's snowing out, but when it's the summer and the grass is growing, it's better to mow the lawn when it's long, not too long because then you clog your mower up, and not too short because you can kill your lawn if you cut it too much. And that's pretty basic stuff. She does not go against nature, and because she does not go against nature, she is free from blame. Going back to 7. This is talking about there's a lot of multiple in a row sets of verses that have common themes. First and second deal with the nature of Tao. The duality is in part 2, and Tao, being and non-being, in the first, which is like the primordial dualistic concept. Non-being and being. Step 7. Heaven is eternal, earth is eternal. This is a form of but in being, they are being. They are the origin, they are the origin points of the 10,000 beings. They have their origin in non-being. Heaven is eternal, earth is eternal. The reason they are eternal is because they do not live for themselves. This is why they are eternal. The sage places himself to the rear, yet always ends up at the front. He is not concerned with his own safety, yet he always remains safe. This reminds me of things that I read in the Bible, in the Old Testament and New Testament, because I've studied that quite a lot. I want to focus on the Tao, but there are many, many parallels. It's general archetypal wisdom that goes back to basically the dawn of human civilization, and even before then. It sort of can be seen in nature, where there are no humans. Going back to 6. The valley spirit does not die. It is called the primal mother. The doorway of the primal mother is called the root of heaven. The valley spirit seems to endure without end. Draw upon it, it will never be exhausted. This is more metaphorical and abstract in my mind. The doorway of the primal mother is called. I would probably enjoy reading the commentary, but I won't for this recording, and encourage anyone who wants to check out the book. Now I'm probably going to go back and forth between 5 and 6, but here's 5 again. Heaven and earth are not benevolent. They treat all beings as straw dogs. Straw dogs. I don't know if that's a Chinese idiom, or maybe it's just one that I'm not familiar with myself. Straw dogs. The space between heaven and earth is like a bellows. It is the living, well, it's the living place. It's on earth. It's earth and the air above us. It is empty yet never exhausted, always in motion. Then this step 5 ends with a sort of a segue into just another topic, which was previously. It gets more elaborated later. Fewer words are better than many. It is best to abide in our true nature. That's also alluded to in the second, where Tao Te Ching author Lao Tzu writes, because of this, the sage dwells in the world of non-action, etc. She practices teaching without speaking. Step 5. Fewer words are better than many. It is best to abide in our true nature. 6. The valley spirit does not die. It is the primal mother. Now I'm going to probably end shortly because I'm getting closer to the end, or reversing back through to 1. But I think that these are the cross-referencing that I'm doing right now will probably get a lot more intensive as I continue with my memorizing and the reading of the Tao Te Ching. There are many themes, but I'm thinking I'm going to just focus on a few for now. The teaching without speaking is one major component, and Wu Wei, heaven and earth, the cosmic level origins, and like biological references, those are more concreted in contemporary learning, and I kind of study the Tao Te Ching for a more abstract wisdom and futurist perspective, and I want to be able to guide my mind. So I think in terms of teaching for myself, and when I see people that are struggling and I want to help, I think about what do I do to be an example as like a sage that teaches without speaking, and not overfilling. I'm very, very, very experienced with overfilling vessels, so I have to live in the world of Wu Wei, non-action. So I think I'm going to end right here. Can you grow the fruit without taking possession of it? Do the work without taking credit. Can you lead without dominating? This is called profound virtue, Te. That's the end of step 10, and this is from the book Practicing the Tao Te Ching.